Hi everyone, welcome back to the weekly Armchair Sports Talk. You're stuck with me tonight as the host, Rach. I'm joined by Reese, Phil and Grant. Lads, how are we doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty well, thank you.
Good. I've not been on in a while, so I've not spoken to any of you guys in a while, but it's good to get back talking United. International break's over, thank God. I'm not a massive fan of these mid-season every 2-week breaks, but thank God we don't have another one until March now, is it? So we can really get stuck into Premier League football, making up ground that we've lost along the way, fingers crossed. I wanted to quickly talk about the international break just briefly because it wasn't all that exciting. Albania and San Marino, we kind of knew we were going to breeze past them, but Maguire scored twice, which is something. What did you make of his performance? Even though he's not an active goal scorer, he's not supposed to be, it's not his job, but what did you make of his performances?
Yeah, I think obviously the two results were expected. Obviously, comfortable wins, and obviously getting on the score sheet. Harry's, had a lot of stick recently. I think that's done his confidence probably the world of good. Going away from United, playing with England, and obviously getting 2 goals. I think that's great for his confidence. But I wouldn't sort of get too carried away with scoring goals, because obviously as a defender, your main priority is keeping clean sheets, which he has done, obviously against Albania and San Marino. But looking towards United now, we want that to sort of be consistently in the United shirt. Now we can put these confidence and sort of consistent performances. I know there's been a lot of injuries and chopping and changing in the back four recently, but for me now, I think that's got to be our sort of foundation where we build from. We need to be keeping clean sheets, because I think we are a threat going forward. But yeah, obviously Harry Maguire's took a lot of stick recently. I think he just needs to concentrate and focus on his game now, and try and get to the levels that we know he's capable of. Obviously he's had a dip in form, everyone does that. He's had a bit of stick from the fans and from pundits and stuff like that. It happens in football, but you've got to be strong and just sort of believe in your own ability, and hopefully that's what he'll do in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Sorry, that's just my dog in the background playing with his toy. Theo, stop it.
Bless him.
God's sake. He's been asleep all day, and then as soon as I go live, it's like, right, I want to play with the loudest toy possible, please. So yeah, I agree. I think he was bound to have a good few games with England, especially with the opponents, no disrespect. But the whole celebration thing, it didn't sit right with me, not because obviously he's had a good run of form in these past 2 games, but in my opinion, scoring goals is not his job. His job is to prevent goals. And fair enough, if he had prevented a goal line clearance or made a crucial block that led to a goal, then fine, absolutely give you your props. Maybe you wouldn't celebrate like that, but I'd give you your props. But the fact that he's celebrating scoring a goal that is not his job it's just a bit stupid. I feel like he knows himself that it was stupid. I think it was a heat of the moment thing. He's thought, right, now I can shut everyone up. And he's thought about it, and he's like, oh, okay, maybe that wasn't the best thing. And I think his family as well that posted all on Twitter and everything, I think they all know that it was a bit reckless and a bit stupid. But hey ho, football is a heat of the moment thing, and it is what it is. But now he's got to, like Phil said, you've got to really knuckle down now, show everyone what you can do, get into a good run of form in these Premier League games coming up, and just really, really stick at it and show what you can do, because he's not a bad defender, in my opinion. He's not terrible. He's just not world class, in my opinion, which when he came in, obviously for 80 million from Leicester, everyone was saying, oh, he's world class for that amount. He's got to be absolutely amazing. He's just not hit that, at least not yet. I just don't think he's there. But, there's still time. He's still got time to turn it around, I guess. We've seen him go through these spells before. We've seen him go through dips, and then we've seen him go really, really good. In that Europa League final where we didn't have him, we could have probably used him, and we maybe would have won. So he is crucial when he's not there. So that does say that he's just going through a different form at the moment, in my opinion. Reece, what's your take on Maguire?
Well, obviously, when England were playing, I was watching two more important games. Like, no disrespect, but obviously, I'm trying to watch my country get to the World Cup. So that was what. But I did see I did watch the highlight. I did watch the highlights though. Like, I did watch the highlights because I wanted to see particularly the United players that were actually called up rather than the United players that deserved to be called up. So I had a watch, and I thought, I do agree with what you and Phil have said about the celebration. Obviously, his performances, like, they have to reflect now. Like, he's had, like you said, no disrespect to San Marino and Albania. Like, for England, they're easy opponents. Like England's reserves, England's reserves, if they were like 50% fit, would still win 10-0. Like, that is like, just because it's a golfing class there. Like, there's a different level. But obviously, it doesn't matter who you play, you've got to beat what's in front of you, and that's what they did. I look at the performance levels, and I thought, bar that celebration, which, frankly, it to me, it is insulting, because it's like, yeah, he's trying to shut down his haters, but I put a tweet up to that literally, and I got the response from Lee, and Lee's like summed up pretty well. Lee went, "It'll come back to bite him in the arse," because Roy Keane's already called him out on it. Like, Phil literally replied to my tweet about that like a week ago, and it's like, he's not wrong. Like, that celebration is going to determine his performances in the next couple of weeks, because we don't just have Watford, but we've got Chelsea coming up as well. We've got the Champions League game that's crucial. So yes, it's great that he got a goal. I'm hoping it improves his confidence. But like he said, like, he's a centre back. He's not a centre forward. His job is to prevent goals going in. That's the crucial point. Does the goal give him confidence though? I would say so. Does it give him limited amount of confidence though? That's the question. I think so, yes, because obviously one game where it can be good performance and all of a sudden a bad performance kicks in, will it continue? Will it last? That's what I don't want. But I want to see how he bounces back from that sort of adversity. So if he has two decent performances against San Marino and Albania, gets a goal, didn't concede a goal, I'm pretty sure. So we'll see where he goes from there. And it's now there's no international breaks until March, which is great. That's 4 months free. He can concentrate solely on his club football. And obviously for me, that's where it really matters. Club football is more important. So he needs to get that right. And we'll see. But yeah, I think he didn't need to do the celebration. But overall, he needs to maintain consistent performances. Otherwise, the fans are going to be on his back again. The pundits are going to call him out again. And all you're going to hear is the words, "They told him so."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I completely agree. Grant, are you kind of on the same page about Maguire, that it wasn't really the best thing to do in terms of the celebration, or do you think he was right to do that?
I find Harry Maguire a huge enigma, because so often this season he's been, I used the word earlier on before we came on the podcast, erratic. I think he's been borderline horrendous this season for United at times. I don't think he's been helped in the fact that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has rushed him back from injury. You know, we kind of saw that in the Leicester City game, where he was really caught floundering, certainly at one of the goals, if not two of them. And really, he was really taken, to the cleaners against Liverpool. And, I had to laugh at Keane's, impersonation of Maguire during the Tottenham game when he went the apologies to the fans kind of quotation, which I thought was quite funny. He's a guy that, in my opinion, needs to show a bit more fight. There's not a lot of emotion with Maguire, and Keane was right with that. You're captain of Manchester United. You're one of the biggest players in that team. You're there to show that you have the caliber to play for one of the biggest clubs in the world, not just in England. And I think Maguire needs to do a little bit more of that. He needs to show a little bit more personality. He needs to connect with the fans. He needs to connect with his teammates. He needs to connect with pundits around the world. He's connecting in all the wrong ways. And that's why guys like Keane and Graham Souness and people like Gary Neville are finding him out a little bit. And I have to say, I thought his attitude off the back of the Albania game was just ridiculous. With all due respect, Albania aren't world-class opposition. And let's face it, San Marino are the worst international nation in the world. You scored 2 goals against probably 2 of the poorest nations in Europe. I don't think that's anything to cry home about. Scotland, as we mentioned earlier in this chat, were playing Moldova, who weren't particularly great. They're slightly better than San Marino. But we play Denmark, If Maguire scored against Denmark, then we would maybe have a little bit more of a positive spin on things, because you're playing against, let's be honest, a team, an international nation that are very good. I'm not getting carried away with Maguire at all off the back of 2 goals against, let's be honest, 2 of the poorest nations in Europe. Yes, she kept clean sheets, but let's be honest, England scored 15 goals without reply against 2 nations that, in my opinion, are pretty dreadful. I think the international break for me doesn't change my mind on Maguire's attitude and also his quality of play this season, because let's be honest, it's been utterly dreadful. I mean, he was very poor in a lot of the big games so far this season, particularly in the Premier League. I mean, the game against Liverpool, the game against Tottenham, even the game against Tottenham, I thought he looked a little bit out of shape. I mentioned the Leicester game. He needs to show a lot more. And I think the injury to Varane is come at a really bad, opportune time, because I think Varane gives that leadership in the back line that helps Maguire a bit. There's no doubt that Maguire's sort of monetary price tag he's had, that £80 million price tag, has hovered over him. And that doesn't help him at all. And I give him a little bit of respect for that, because it's very tough. You know, you get that amount of money, but you have to show that you're capable of playing for one of the biggest clubs in the world. Maguire has to offer more. I'm sorry, he simply has to.
You're on mute, Rach.
Oh my God.
She was back on mute again, and then she's off again. Must be a dog problem.
It's just not working tonight. I'm so sorry. No, I completely agree with you. He simply has to do better. He really does need to. I'm going to move on from Maguire and go on to Keane's comments about Maguire. Phil, you're obviously aware of Keane and obviously know what influence he has upon players and upon pundits and upon everyone. Really, he's got that massive personality. What was his influence like?
Massive. I think obviously that's, for me, what we're lacking at this moment in time. I think Roy Keane is a character, and the way he handled the dressing room and sort of, you know, kept everybody in check, especially when I was at the club, you know, mid-2000s, he was phenomenal, not only on the pitch, but in the changing room, you know, with the young lads. He led by example on and off the pitch. And I think that's a massive thing that we're missing at this moment in time in terms of a character in the dressing room. Obviously, always a lot of pressure. Sometimes you need, you know, some of your big players and you know, leaders to sort of, you know, galvanise the dressing room and to sort of be able to put an arm around some players, or, you know, give a rocket up someone's arse if they're not performing. And I think at this moment in time, that's where we're sort of, you know, falling short on sort of that front. I think other teams, when I see the sort of team spirit and camaraderie, it looks a lot better than obviously ours at this moment in time. But I think Roy Keane, obviously, with the comments that he's made, I thought he's justified in that. You know, as a footballer, you've got to try and do the best you can every single week. I know there's a lot of pressure. I know there's a lot of sort of negativity coming your way, regardless of how you perform. But I think you've got to try and sort of, you know, limit the amount of stick and abuse. And to Maguire's celebration, you know, didn't help him, because, as you've said, and as we've all touched on, his performances at Manchester United have been nowhere near good enough.
Just cut across you, Phil. Do you think it's down purely to the fact that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's management is too nice? You know, he's not like Sir Alex Ferguson, who's really kind of that winning mentality that kind of Keane fed off of as well as captain. Do you think Ole's too nice a manager and needs to show a little bit more fight as well to help Maguire?
Yeah, I mean, possibly. As we've seen, I think Ollie comes across as, you know, a really, you know, smiley, happy, nice person. But I think obviously when, you know, behind closed doors and in the changing room, I think he is capable. Obviously, I've experienced that myself, playing under him in the reserves, and, you know, obviously knowing him personally, he is capable, and I'm sure he will be, you know, giving people sort of, you know, dress down if they need to, and getting them told when they need to be. But I think it just comes down to the players themselves. I think, you know, you've got to look at yourself in the mirror. You've got to be able to give 100% no matter what every single week. Fans understand that you're going to, you know, have a dip in form and that you're not going to be able to perform at the, highest level every single week. But I think what's been the most disappointing thing from my perspective this year with United is sort of the lack of effort in some games and players just, strolling through games, not, working hard and sort of just giving the sort of 100% work rate. As I always say, like in a game, you can always play sort of 6, 7 out of 10 if you just work hard for 90 minutes. The performance levels will obviously, get you to 8s and 9s if you play well. But I think some of them players, if they look at themselves and be honest, they've not give enough in a lot of the games, and I think that's why we've sort of fell short in some of the games that we should have won.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. The performances this season have just not been up to par at all. And we saw it last season with a few of the games that we dropped points in that we should never have dropped points in, like Sheffield United and Palace last season. They were awful. And I mean, there was no effort there whatsoever. And heads just dropped so easily within this team. But I mean, we saw last season, especially with this second half FC stuff, that we always used to come out at half time a completely different team. And I do think that was down to Ollie as well. Like, he must have been saying something in that dressing room to put a rocket up their arse, as if to say, like, oh, this is not good enough. We're Manchester United. This is not good enough. And then they come out in that second half. But it's not a sustainable model of football, is to just carry on playing shit in the first half or the first 60 minutes and then finally decide that you want to turn up and you want to play, oh, we actually need to win this game, and then try and make up lost ground. You should just, like you say, you should just try from the off, go at it hard for 75, 80 minutes, and then you can kind of, rein it back in and protect what you have. But if you throw everything you've got from the start, so surely that's a more sustainable model of football. But that's I'm not a manager at the end of the day. Going forward to Watford, Reese, what are you expecting from Watford?
What am I expecting from Watford? A team that for once has fight, because they had none of that under the previous manager, which reflected by their poor start to the season. The only good result they got, I'm pretty sure, was the dismantling of Aston Villa, which caught me by surprise. So, but since then, they've just not really shown enough. Like, bullied on the ball, not good enough with or without it, to be honest, technically as well. Like, good technical players in there, they just weren't showing consistency. Now they're playing under a very experienced manager who can get the best out of technical players and also players with like that work rate. He can combine the two extremely well. I think what you will see is a Watford team that will go down the wire, very, very strong. It's just how are we going to play? That's my only concern. But I think Watford, if they get a half chance, I still think they can take it, because we seem to be succumbing a lot to half chances lately. And I think if they get one and they make the most of it, they could cause us problems. So I think we really need to be on our game. We need to. And I'm not going to say, it's an easy win now, because for Man United, this isn't easy wins anymore. There is no easy result for us, so we have to work for it. But Watford will work for it. They've got some good players in there, like Sarr in particular. He's one that's always impressed me, so we have to keep him closed. How they're going to play, I don't know if he's going to play them as a back four. He could change it in this game. You never know. Ranieri's quite a resolute man. Like, he's such experience in the game is important, and he has that in a nutshell. And these sort of teams, like the lower rated teams, he does his best work with. And I think this weekend in particular, if United don't actually control this game and we give them space, Ranieri's teams are very good in the counter-attack. I'd be very wary if we actually give them space and we don't deal with it. So I think in terms of this weekend, we need to dominate the game, and not just dominate for 19 seconds. We need to dominate for the whole game. Otherwise, we will concede very sloppy goals.
It's all very... You think it's baffling to me that we're sitting here now as Manchester United fans and we're saying that we're worried about the likes of Watford and Norwich when they come around, and the lower teams, because it's it's frustrating. It's so frustrating I'm not going to say how far we've fallen, because I hate that term in a sense.
Yeah.
Anyway, I hate that term, but it is like that though. When you really sit here and you think about, we used to dominate teams. We used to absolutely dominate, and now we're kind of more timid and we're more, reserved. So, but I do think it's going to be a tough game. I will give them that. Every game in the Premier League is tough, in my opinion. You don't get to the Premier League if you're not a good team, except Norwich, fucking yo-yo teams, and West Brom, teams that go up and down. They're too good for the Championship, not good enough for the Premier League. It's just those kind of teams that sit in the middle. But I mean, you don't get to the Premier League without being good. You don't get to the Premier League without winning games against tough opponents. So you've got to give respect where respect is due. I would expect us to beat them. I would hope that we would beat them. I would probably want us to go into this game full of confidence. We've had a few players in our team that have had good performances in Europe, in international football. So I'm hoping that we really just knuckle down, get things going, and just go full steam ahead and try our best and just be expressive Grant, do you think Ollie should stick with a back four or a back three?
That is a really good question, Rachel, because, to be honest, I think those flaws, whatever system United pick, obviously United have got a few injury worries, as we know, off the back of the City defeat. It was an absolute disaster in that match, and I do think that you will see potentially a change in at the back. Bailly going off injured is a loss as well. We know Maguire's form, we know Lindelof's form. For me, Luke Shaw's had a pretty awful season so far. Wan-Bissaka not an awful lot better. So, I have huge concerns about what United defensively are going to step up as. It would not surprise me, to be honest, if McTominay plays in the back three, as we've seen for Steve Clarke when he's picked him from the Scotland team. I don't think it's a great idea, but you just never know what he could do with that. It's just bizarre. And I like the way Reece is shaking his head, because I don't want to see that happen, but you could see that materialising. What I want to say, though, about Watford is, I really like Ranieri as well. I agree with Reece. I think Ranieri, will forever go down in folklore for winning the Premier League with Leicester City. He loves that sort of underdog story. He did very well in Serie A, and I think he deserves a crack at this Watford job. And, since he's come into the job, they had that very good result at Everton. They won in 5-2. And I thought they were quite unlucky not to get someone against Arsenal before the international break. Ben Foster saved a penalty. I thought they had good moments in the game at the Emirates. And if United don't play well in this game, they won't win. It's as simple as that. And I like Ismail Assar. I think he's been absolutely outstanding for them this season. I really like Josh King. I thought he was really good at Bournemouth. I think coming into this Watford team, it's going to be very interesting to see how they get on. But here's the interesting fact, guys. United have only conceded 2 less goals than Watford so far this season. Remember, United lost 5 against Liverpool and 2 against City. That's damning statistics for a club that hasn't played Chelsea yet this season. And let's have a look at the league table. Arsenal are 3 points above United, and Arsenal lost their first.
Don't remind me.
That is awful statistics. And United are in huge trouble, and they have to get something in this game. But this is the Ollie cycle, right? He gets a really bad result. He's under pressure. Then he pulls a result out of the bag, and everything seems to go swimmingly again. And bang, there's another bad result, and the cycle goes on. It just feels like an ever-evolving drum in a washing machine at the moment with Solskjaer. And, people will say, wins this game, paper over the cracks. Well, for me, it don't wash anymore. And I think even if he wins this game and United win this game, for me, Solskjaer's on borrowed time. You look at the bottom half of the Premier League, Norwich, Newcastle, Watford and Villa have all changed their managers. It'll be interesting to see how most of those teams respond. You look at United, should they be changing? Because the top 2 or 3, certainly Chelsea, City, although Liverpool are behind West Ham, but there's a danger that those 3 clubs could really pull away from the rest of the field, and United could be left well adrift if they keep on this bandwagon for a while with Solskjaer. I want him to turn it around. I want him to get it right, but I don't have the confidence he will.
Phil, what do you think about how we can turn this around. Do you think Ollie can turn this around? Like, what does Ollie and what do Manchester United need to do to really kind of turn this season around? Because at the end of the day, it is still early. I know the performance has not been great, and we are quite away, but only 6 points. But in like form and in challenging, we are quite far away behind. But we are still relatively early in the season. What does he need to do to really pick this up?
I think it's difficult because obviously he's under a lot of pressure now, and as Grant just touched on, it seems that he'll pick a result up, things will seem a little bit rosier, and then the cycle will happen again, and there'll be a few bad results, and fans will be calling for him to get sacked and stuff. At this moment in time, for me, I actually think the biggest problem that he's got is he doesn't really know his best starting 11. I think that's what inevitably is costing him a lot of these.
How many years have we been saying that, though?
Yeah, well,
how
exactly.
many years have we been saying that he doesn't know what his starting 11 is?
I don't think he knows his best system either. That's a huge problem. Consistently playing Fred and McTominay, and we talked about Roy Keane earlier on, kind of going, why are you playing Fred? And I think a lot of United fans are in full agreement with that.
Yeah, and that's obviously, as a manager, that should be your sort of first thing that you want to sort out and get right. Now, I get there's injuries and dips in form and suspensions and all this kind of thing, but for me, that's the one thing that he needs to sort of nail down in this next couple of weeks and just go with it and persist with that. I think Michael Owen hit the nail on the head, and I don't really agree with a lot that he says usually, but what he says, I actually thought that was sort of spot on in terms of style of play. You stick with it, and you sort of get rid of the players who aren't good enough to play in that system if that's the way it's got to be. But yeah, it's going to be a difficult game against Watford. I'm a little bit worried actually about they're a team that's sort of unpredictable. If United turn up and play to the potential, then yeah, it should be a 3 points, no problem. But as we've seen in the past, all season really, it's been unpredictable. There's been no consistency. Will he throw players in there who's not had much game time, the likes of Van der Beek, Sancho? I think he whichever way he goes about it this weekend, he's in a sort of lose-lose situation. I think fans will mourn if he changes the team. I think they'll mourn if he doesn't. I think the 3 points is the only way really that he's sort of going to get a little bit of the pressure eased off him. But it's just going to be a difficult couple of months really, I think, obviously in terms of results going from one extreme to the other, because again, I can't really see how. Obviously, we've seen the patterns that have been happening now for sort of the past few months. I can't see him changing anything majorly in this short space of time. I think there's just a massive gulf in terms of the quality of managers. When you look at Liverpool with Klopp, when you look at Pep Guardiola at City and Thomas
Tuchel at Chelsea.
Yeah, no disrespect to Ollie. I mean, I love Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and I wish that he would be the man that could turn United's fortunes around and take them back to the sort of top. But I just think, you're only, as good as you sort of what you've experienced. And I think he's not had that enough managerial experience at the top clubs like the other managers have. And that's just the facts, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Phil, do you want to just answer this question quickly? Did you ever get the hairdryer off Fergie?
Not personally, no. I never actually got the hairdryer myself, but I have seen it sort of getting dished out when I've made my debut.
Is it scary?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, obviously it weren't directed at me, so I was sort of safe in that respect. But yeah, it was actually Wes Brown and a couple of the other players who played. He had a right go at them. He actually praised us because when we played, I think there was about 4 or 5 young lads that made the debut the same night that I did. And he sort of said, the young lads have embarrassed you and showed you up by their work rate and commitment. He said, you should be ashamed of yourselves. And yeah, he went fully on Wes Brown and a couple of his first teamers. So yeah.
Nice.
Well, we all remember the last time we spoke. You told me about how the fact he made you eat haggis. That's
Oh,
all
yeah.
I'm saying. Don't eat it again. Don't eat it again, mate. It's the
No.
worst food product on the planet.
Yeah, definitely. I won't be touching that anytime soon.
Good.
I'm not commenting because I quite like haggis, so keep going. I'm not here.
A quick question here. We've got bath time with Vaughan. Would you prefer any new manager or sticking with Ollie for the season to get the perfect managerial pick? So, Reese, would you be happy to stick with Ollie for the season if it meant you got, I know you're massive on Ten Hag, aren't you? So if we got Ten Hag at the end of the season, or like Simeone in this dream world, like at the end of the season, would you stick with Ollie for this season? Or would you prefer we just cut our losses now and we can try and salvage what's left of the season?
Personally, I don't think sticking is the wisest decision because, of all due respect, he's actually came out and said like he's had the credit like the past couple of seasons in terms of what he's achieved, in terms of like where he's finished. But this is a different level of like issue where previously he had to come in and get us at the top four. He done that, and then he got us third, he got us second. But he's never had this sort of pressure before where he's had to come back from difficult start to the season where everybody's against you, where he's having to try and fix things. He doesn't have that noose in him to fix it, and I don't think it's wise to stick with him. And the problem is he says like stick with Ollie to get the perfect managerial pick. Well, like the perfect managerial pick to the Glazers is a yes man. Like that's not that's not what the fans want. The fans want somebody who's going to come in, who's going to shape new ideas, take the team forward, and actually wants to win trophies.
Absolutely agree.
We're not going to have that under somebody who just fits the bill of just get your Champions League money. That's not what we want. It's great to play in the Champions League when you win it, but not when you're only in it to just make the 20-odd, 30 million that you're going to make from the group stages, plus whatever you make per knockout round. And then if you're by luck, you get to like a semi-final stage. Like that's not enough. You want to see Man United winning trophies. I reiterate the words of one of our greatest managers, and Sir Matt Busby. He never wanted to see Man United be second best. It was the best. And some people take that as a bit of an insult by saying, "Oh, Man United, you want them to win trophies rather than anything else." Well, in sport, you do want to be entertained, but you're there to win. So Matt Busby was at Manchester United to play good football, entertain the fans, and most importantly, he was there to win.
Yeah.
So I don't get why people have the conversations against one another about what you want. I want good football, but I want us to win.
Absolutely.
So with all due respect, I think if you really want to make a change, it's too late like to make the change now, because we had the perfect period of 14 days over that international break. Somebody could have came in, worked with who wasn't called up, introduced some ideas, and then ran with it. And then as the team got back in, eased them into their ideas, coached them, and then you've got a way of moving forward. There's no international break for 4 months. The Champions League game is right around the corner as well. So this is in retrospect, a new manager could have got us further. I don't know if Ollie's going to do it. If he does, then great. But I think we've all seen, I mean, I compared the reaction of the Man United board to being slower than a full earth rotation. Like that's just how slow the board are. Like they are slower than an earth rotation because they don't react to what's going on. And that for me is a problem. If you want to win, you've got to have the best around you. All due respect to Ollie, he's not. And it's going to get worse for him. So with all due respect, no, I don't want us to stick in a perfect managerial appointment to us. That somebody wants to win. But to the owners and the board, a perfect managerial appointment is somebody who's going to not call them out, only achieve top 4, and never set their sights on winning anything.
Yeah, I think Reese makes some very valid points. Sorry to jump in, Rachel, and I think he's absolutely bang on the money. You know, there's a danger that Manchester United are going to be turning into a club like Arsenal, who are happy to accept being in the top 4 when Arsene Wenger was manager, and that's where I feel United are going at the moment. I personally think United missed a trick before that international break, and you look at what happened with Tottenham Hotspur. They didn't see the situation working with Nuno. He got the sack, and I got in Antonio Conte like that. They made the move very, very quickly. Now, I was for Conte coming into United. I know a lot of people aren't fans of Conte and the style of football, but I think he was a winner. I think he would have really put a rocket up a lot of players at United, and I think he would have changed something up there. Obviously, now that's not going to happen. I want to see United make the change, but I wouldn't want it to be someone like Brendan Rodgers. I know a lot of Manchester United fans are clamouring for Brendan Rodgers to take the Manchester United job. I'm vehemently against Rodgers taking the job. I think Rodgers got a very, very poor record in Europe. Yes, he did extremely well at Celtic, and congratulations to him. In no competition, let's be honest. Rangers were well down the leagues. In Europe, Celtic were well adrift. In matches, they conceded 7 against Paris Saint-Germain. They conceded 5 at Celtic Park. They conceded 5 against Bayern Munich. They were embarrassed in Europe. They couldn't get in the top 4 twice with Leicester City. And yes, they won the FA Cup. Congratulations to them. But I think Leicester should be looking to aspire to do more than just win an FA Cup. I think Rodgers is a good coach, but he's not a great coach. If you're looking to look for the great coaches to come in, the only guy that's available that I think is capable of doing a good job is Zinedine Zidane, and Zidane does not want the job. For me, Zidane is a shoe-in to replace Deschamps after the World Cup in Qatar. So I think United are caught between a rock and a hard place right now. I really don't see many other options on the table. Reece just mentioned Ten Hag there. I wouldn't be adverse to seeing someone with a bit of radicalization, someone a little bit different, someone a bit ingenious to work out. Is Pochettino going to come into the mix? We don't know. Paris Saint-Germain are dominating the French league, but if they don't win the Champions League, that'll be a failure for that club. So United are in a real pickle right now. You look at the Premier League. Is there someone like Graham Potter who might fancy a new challenge? I think the job's too big for him. A great young coach, but I think it's too big for him. It's a big job. And, let me go one stage further before we move on. Penny for David Moyes' thoughts, because that West Ham team that he's playing just now are flying. And we had him in charge. Did we give Moyes enough time? I still don't think we did.
To be fair, back on that point, I'm just going to say Moyes sabotaged himself by comparing the greatest centre-back partnership in English football history to play like Phil Jagielka. That's suicide. And he also got rid of the perfect managerial backroom staff that was already there for him. So
change things too quickly, I agree.
Yeah, he sabotaged himself. Could Moyes have done better? Maybe. But in all respect, he sabotaged himself. And as soon as he did, that was him game over. I think I look at other managers across the world, like Luis Enrique makes a lot of sense. You're not going to get him out the Spain job. You're not going to get Hansi Flick out of Germany.
No.
Rach mentioned Diego Simeone not too long ago. I wouldn't mind a handsome bastard like Simeone, because the one thing he does is he challenges people. And a lot of people call him a boring manager. I don't like, and his style's boring. I don't think his style's boring. I think
I agree.
I don't think there's anything wrong with pragmatism, but you actually look at how he won the league last year. You can't tell me Atletico Madrid last year were boring to watch. I don't think they were. I thought they were exciting to watch. I thought they were different, and I think he finally got to build it. He finally got to build a team in his vision that makes sense. That was probably the best Simeone team I've seen since the team they won the league 7 years ago. That's probably the best team. I think out of anybody, he deserves to win the Champions League with all the work he's put in with Atletico Madrid. If he does, then fair play to him. I don't think they're going to, but I just look at that team, and it's the best team in La Liga by far. Probably the best team in Europe coached in terms of the defensive style, but it's not boring because you look in some games, they're actually quite entertaining to watch. And I'm thinking he would come into United, he would definitely give a few players a scare.
Yes.
Some that deserve it. It's just, where do they go? Would United hire a guy like Simeone? I doubt it, because they bottled it on Conte.
I also think as well, you look at Atletico Madrid this season, has Simeone taken them to the end of the range? We saw that game against Liverpool in the Champions League. They fell 2 goals down, and they never really had a fight back in that game when they went down to 10 men. And that's my little bit of criticism about Simeone, as he didn't really have a plan B. Now, I like Simeone. I think he's a very, very respected guy. You do not win 2 La Liga titles in Spain against the likes of Barcelona if you're not good. Absolutely. I wouldn't be adverse against Simeone, but he'd be a very, very different style to what we'd like to see. It'd be very, very interesting to see what we do. But as I said, I think United are in a real pickle right now. They are basically in a do or be done situation, because if they stick with Solskjaer and get to the end of the season and they get in the top 4 and they do well in the Champions League, you get to the last 16, last 8, the Glazers will be happy with that. You know, and ultimately, if that ticks their boxes, then fair enough. But a lot of United fans want to see more. They want to see their team win trophies. I want to see Manchester United win trophies. Us all here want to see Manchester United win trophies. So there's a big disconnect here, and I think it's going to last a bit longer. I think until maybe even the end of the season and beyond.
Yeah, I completely agree. I do think they are going to stick it out this season with Solskjaer. I think the only reason that I can see that they potentially get rid of him is if we crash out of the Champions League.
Agree. That's the key thing for me. That Villarreal game is huge.
Oh yeah.
And I think that Cristiano Ronaldo late equaliser in Bergamo may be the most important goal of Solskjaer's managerial career. Had United lost that game, that might have been the end of the line for him. But I think that equalising goal has kept him in a job, unquestionably for me.
Because I think that everyone was saying when we drew this group that we were thinking, absolutely brilliant. One of the best groups that we could have got, in my opinion. I think everyone was literally rubbing their hands together after the group of death we had last year. Like this year, that was absolute blessing in disguise. But it's not turned out that the way it should have been. The way it should have been is we should have had this done, dusted, boxed off, done. Absolutely no problem.
It gives me Van Gaal vibes. And I love Van Gaal as a manager. You know that, like, because we've spoken about, I love Van Gaal as a manager, but it gives me that group stage vibes where we should have rammed that group 5 years ago. We should have rammed it, and instead we dropped to Europa League. And I'll be damned if that happens again, because if that happens again, I don't care who is in charge. And you have players with big egos like Ronaldo in your team, and he drops to Europa League. Like, Ronaldo will pull a Godfather on you, and he'll put the horse's head in your bed, and he will get you the sack.
Massively
I don't blame him either. Phil, I'm going to go to you quickly just because I know you've got to jump off soon, haven't you?
Yeah.
What are you thinking about Watford and the lineup for this weekend? Do you think Ollie's going to change a lot, or do you think he's going to kind of stick with his, safety team? And what do you think the score is going to be just before you go?
Yeah, I actually think he will make a few changes. Personally, I think obviously the players who's been wearing international duty and stuff. For me, I think Donny van der Beek and Sancho are going to get some minutes. I don't know what formation he's going to go with, but I actually feel as though them two players are sort of in a sort of position now where they need to sort of start playing some games. Otherwise, Van der Beek's probably going to go in January. I actually do think he's a good player. I just don't think he's had the run of games that he's probably deserved. So for me now, I think he's got that opportunity to maybe come in against Watford and sort of, play against Sancho. He's not started as well as probably would have hoped, but you can't knock his work rate. I think he's always seemed like he's trying to do things, maybe just not happening for him at the moment. But I feel as though one good performance or a goal or something could sort of change his sort of performances around. I think that's, as a player, sometimes that's all it can take. I think he's obviously come with a massive price tag and a lot of expectation. So
yeah,
he's, feeling a little bit of pressure maybe from, himself or the fans or, whoever. And I think he just needs to, get that one goal or good performance and he'll be fine. So yeah, I do actually think there will be a few changes. I think I don't know whether he'll play 3 at the back again or whether he'll go to a 4. But yeah, I actually think there'll be a few changes and that, players who haven't maybe played as much, maybe even Lingard potentially, will get some minutes against Watford. I think, as I said, he's in a bit of a lose-lose situation at the moment with team selections, and if he changes players and rest players or whatever, however you want to, look at it. So for me, I think he's going to, maybe give some of these players that the fans are sort of wanting to see a chance, and hopefully that can be proved right. But obviously that we'll just have to wait and see, and that'll be the proofs in the pudding with team selections. If you pick the team that wins, it's the right decision. Obviously, if you don't, then you're under you're in line for some stick again. So yeah, be interesting to see.
I agree with you. I do hope we see a lot of changes. I really hope we see Donny, Lingard, Sancho, the likes of all those. I want to quickly come to this point before you drop off. because I saw your comment earlier, Matt, but I couldn't get it in the conversation. This is the game that you drop Ronaldo. So would you agree with that and maybe start the front three of what Matt's suggested there, so Sancho, Rashford and Greenwood, or do you think Ronaldo has to start?
For me, I think, Ronaldo's, if Ronaldo wants to play, inevitably he's going to be playing. I think, he's somebody we brought in to be sort of like the talisman. He's your go-to man. He's going to be the guy who probably scores the vast majority of our goals. Mm-hmm. So for me, I think if he's fit and he wants to play, I think he's got to play every game. So for me, I do think there will be changes, but I don't think Ronaldo will drop out unless he's saying otherwise. I think he's mm-hmm. the first name on the team sheet for me, just because of what he can deliver and his record speaks for itself. He's somebody who can pull a rabbit out of the hat at any given time, and he's popped up on the score sheet and won us vital games this year, especially in the Champions League. So. Yeah, I think he's somebody, if he's on the pitch, he's always got that, ability to sort of, win you a game out of nothing.
Yep, definitely. And just quickly before you go, what do you think the score's going to be?
I actually think it's going to be quite a close game. I mean, I think if United play to the potential, like we've said all season, it should be an easy 3 points. I watched Watford against Liverpool a couple of weeks ago, and Watford were horrendous. Liverpool absolutely dominated the game from minute 1 to minute 90. They didn't show anything that I thought, was sort of a threat to Liverpool. It was a complete performance from Liverpool, and it was a sort of nightmare performance from Watford. I don't think they'll play that bad again ever. So for me, I think it's going to be a difficult game. United's obviously expected to win the game, but Watford have started pulling a few results out. Grant mentioned the Everton game, showing that little bit of resilience and fighting spirit to come back away from home. They had a decent performance against Arsenal, was a little bit unlucky. So for me, I think United's got to be, at the races from minute 1 if they're going to get anything out of the game. So I actually do think we are going to win the game, but I think Watford will score. So I'm going to go for 2-1 to United.
Nice. Well, Phil, I really appreciate you coming on tonight. Thank you so much. I'll definitely chat to you again soon.
Yeah, no problem. Absolutely. Nice speaking with you all. I'll catch you soon.
Good Enjoy your evening. Bye.
Right, have a good evening. See you later, guys.
See you later. Reese, what we saying? Well, I don't like that. Yeah.
That's fair. Now I can see the look in peripheral vision.
Reese, what are you saying about the lineup? Do you think he'll make changes, or do you think he's going to stick with his, safety net?
I think the last time we spoke, I said he had realistically nothing to lose in terms of selections and lineups. I think he really does have nothing to lose. So I think now is a good chance where he can make a change and he can make for the better. So I do think there will be a few changes. I was actually just putting in a lineup myself that I think would be good to play against Watford, but it just depends on what he goes for. But I hope he doesn't do his safety choice. I want it to be a little bit more left field, a little bit offset. So I've actually put a few changes of my own.
Go on then, reel them off, mate.
That I would like to see. So I've gone like 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1. Doesn't really matter. It's going to be the same anyway. So I've got De Gea on goal. I've got Wan-Bissaka and, if fit, Luke Shaw fullbacks. If not, then Telles can come in. I've got back the centre-back partnership. I've got Bailly and Maguire. I think just don't worry. It's not purely Lindelof hate. That's not the reason. Although you're not happy, I'm going to get killed for that later. I've got Bailly and goal purely for the presence of like Gray and Sarr, but also like Josh King up top. I think his presence is more physical presence is more effective than Lindelof. I think if Lindelof was to come off the bench, which I think he would make a defensive change, I think Lindelof against tired legs through the midfield can pass it through, like if we need it. So I would have Bailly Maguire in there purely for the coverage. Midfield, I've gone for Matic, Van de Beek, and Fernandes. I think that's a midfield I'm more comfortable with. I think in terms of how you want us to play, I think it gives us a little bit more element of control on the ball, particularly in the midfield, something we don't have. and it's just a matter of where we go from it. Although you could make a few changes, you could say maybe Matic instead of Matic, you could play McTominay in that position if you wanted to, like as a more physical presence, somebody with legs, which is fine. But I would more like a composed presence in that position. That's why I went for Matic and Van de Beek in that area. Like, good chance for him to at least get some well-deserved minutes, showcase what he's capable of doing on the ball. And then obviously Fernandes in the midfield, like, is ever present. Like, he's consistent. He's not having the best of season at the moment for goal output, which is fine. But in terms of his numbers of statistics, in terms of getting an assist, it's still impressive enough. It gives us that creative presence that we need. Up front's where I've actually made a few changes. Completely left field, I've gone on the wings. I've gone Sancho on the right, and I've gone Jesse Lingard on the left. And then up top, I've gone for Mason Greenwood.
Interesting.
I've gone for Greenwood because I think, with all due respect to Ronaldo, we don't need Ronaldo for this game. Unless we are needing to chase a goal, we don't really need to start Ronaldo in this one, I think, because it's Watford. No disrespect to Watford, but there are bigger games coming. And I think if Mason Greenwood isn't going to get a chance against any opposition, then what's the point using him as a striker? So I think against Watford, give him a chance. Let him see how he favours in that position. And with his movement, let him test himself against the likes of Foster. I think it'd be good for him. Sancho, it's a good game for him, good opposition where he can finally add to his numbers so people can stop referencing him as the next James Bond. Let him do it in the right way. Let him finally add a goal or assist, because his movement in recent games has been superb. He just hasn't gotten a goal and assist that he deserves from it. And then Lingard, his energy, his movement on the ball, without the ball, that's something we need. And I think against Watford as well, particularly against their fullbacks on their right hand side, for us, I think we could use his movement to expose them. Then the second half against tired legs, take him off for a Rashford and just let Rashford run at them, because they will not be able to handle that. So I just look at it and I think that would be the lineup of choice. But then again, it all just comes down to what he wants. If he goes safe, then I'll be bored at my skull. But at least I know I'll still support the boys anyway. But I don't want him to go safe. I want him to go for it. Show a little bit of spirit, show a little bit of madness in the selection. Let's see what he can do. So, yeah, that's for me. So just to run through it quickly again: De Gea, Wan-Bissaka, Bailly, Maguire, Shaw if fit, Matic, Van de Beek, Fernandes, Sancho, Lingard, Greenwood up top.
Nice. Grant, is yours similar or is yours completely different?
This is a real mixed bag, actually, and it's really interesting to hear Reese's points, because I actually think Ollie will play quite safe, but I do think he'll make quite a few adjustments. So I have De Gea in goal. I am playing a 4-3-3 as well, although it will be a sort of 4-2-1-3, if you like. So again, I've gone Wan-Bissaka and Maguire. I think Telles plays, and I want to see Telles play, because I don't think Shaw's performances have been anywhere near good enough for United. And
True.
I think Telles deserves a crack at the start for 90 minutes. I have went for Lindelof at central defence, because I didn't think Bailly had his best game against Manchester City. He was unfortunate on the own goal. I thought his defensive positioning was particularly poor. I agree with what Reece is saying in terms of the physicality point of view, though, and I do take that very much on board. I think he'll play safe in midfield. I don't think he'll play McTominay. McTominay didn't play any of the games for Scotland in the international break, because I think he was sent home with a throat virus. Yeah. So I have question marks whether he will be fit to play. So I don't think McTominay plays. I've actually gone for a midfield three, and Reece is not going to like this. Fred, Van de Beek, and Fernandes. I just have this bad feeling Fred plays.
Wait, why wouldn't I like that? I'm the only one that sticks up for Fred on this channel.
I think Fred, Van de Beek, and Fernandes is the midfield three this week. Basically, the Manchester United midfield is a tombola, and that's what it's coming down to. The front three, I've gone very, very different to you, though, Reece. I have picked Sancho, but I have picked Ronaldo, because I think United need to win the game. I think Ronaldo plays through the middle, and I've gone for Marcus Rashford out on the left-hand side. I think Rashford plays from the start. I take your point on Greenwood, and if United aren't playing well, I'd like to see Ronaldo and Greenwood play as a two up front to try and change things. It's a real pity that Edinson Cavani is not fit, because I think this is the sort of game where I'd love to see Cavani play up front as a sort of battering ram at the top end of the pitch to put the defenders under pressure. I just think when Cavani plays, United are a far better team when he's in the team. But the main take-home message from this weekend is I have to see Van de Beek start this weekend. Ole has no excuses to not play Van de Beek this week, especially as I just mentioned there with the McTominay illness question mark. You got the consideration of obviously Pogba obviously coming back from suspension. I wouldn't have Pogba near this team, to be honest with you. I want to see Telles play left back. I think it would be much exciting to see. I like Shaw, but his performances have not been good enough. Bad time of on. I love that. I love your YouTube handle, man. I think that's absolutely fantastic. But yeah, a right wing back, that would give me the fear. But I could see that happening, to be honest.
Spoke about that. We had him a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, love
Sancho
that.
right wing back.
Love that YouTube handle, by the way. So just to clarify my team again, I'm playing a 4-2-1-3. De Gea, Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Maguire, Telles, Fred and Van de Beek with Fernandes, slightly more advanced, Sancho, and Rashford out wide with Ronaldo through the middle.
Nice. I think mine is almost identical, or just a few little bit of changes. So I've gone with obviously De Gea in goal. I've gone with Wan-Bissaka. I think he is going to play Maguire and Lindelof, which is his safety. Telles, I think he will start. I don't think Shaw's going to be up for it.
I'd hope so. I've only went for Shaw
really
based on if he's fit. He will play, but I hope Telles does get some minutes.
I don't think Shaw should play because his form. I obviously his fitness is important, but his form's not been great. That's why I didn't pick him in there.
I completely agree. He's been shocking this
very
season.
erratic.
Yeah,
definitely. What's your midfield, Rach?
Midfield, I can just see McFred vibes. I think he's just going to stick with what he knows.
McTominay plays interesting.
I do. I think if McTominay, we've seen this with Ollie. You alluded to it earlier. That did I just say Macaulay?
No, you said
Solskjaer.
Well, to be fair, we should just change McFred to Macaulay anyway, because that is his pick. Macaulay vibes.
No, we've seen it with Ollie this season before. You alluded to it earlier. If a player is pretty much fit or near enough fit, he'll play. If he's one of the core starters or one of Ollie's safety squad, which is what I like to call them. So I think it will be Fred and McTominay, unfortunately, with Bruno just in front of them. And then I think it is going to be Ronaldo up top with Sancho and Rashford either side. So pretty similar.
Telepathic on me tonight. That's very, very interesting.
Just to reply to Vaughn's comment, because obviously I've got the comments controls. Is this what you want? This is literally what we think. This is literally what we think would happen at the weekend. But obviously, we already know the manager's going to play boring vibes. So we're just going to run with that. But these are literally just our lineup predictions. That's all it is, really.
Yeah, that's not what I want to say.
That comment. The United team being picked is like picking up raffle tickets. It's like a tombola. And the midfield will be consisting of number 5, number 8, and number 7. Oh dear.
what we want versus what's going to happen is completely different sides of the spectrum. But my only fear is he's not utilizing the squad in the best. See, and that's why your shirts are signed by Kazoo.
So actually, I take it back. I have Ronaldo in my fantasy team, so he must start at all costs. You don't have the best intentions of Manchester United at heart, my son. You do not.
Matt wants his fantasy points. He doesn't give a shit.
Exactly. He doesn't give a shit.
Be fair,
when his fantasy comes in, that's it.
To be fair, his team right now, he supports a team that's best strikers busy doing pundit work, trying to dress like a model. Exactly. So, what do you want in a striker? Do you want a model or somebody that actually turns up? Because it looks like Calvert-Lewin's going to be the English Bellerin.
Oh, that's a bit harsh. I like Calvert-Lewin.
So they are, but I have to at least point it out from what I've seen.
Yeah, I guess so. Reese, before we go quickly, because we've been on for about an hour or so now. What do you think the score is going to be?
Well, last time I was on this show, I nearly got killed by Keane because I predicted a draw. I predicted a draw. Thankfully, that didn't happen. Loosely. We change up this time though. I'm going. I really want us to win, but obviously, like I said about Watford can pull a scare on us. If United's worst enemy is United. So if United don't turn up, they don't play the best they've got, then we'll get turned over.
I agree.
But I don't think we will. I think we'll actually have a very good performance. I think we will. So I'm going Man United 3, Watford 0. I think we'll keep a clean sheet. But if United don't turn up and don't do the basics right, I think Watford could put 1 or 2 past us. But I want to go with a little bit of optimism. I want to go in with a little bit of positive behind the team that I support. So I'm going to go 3-0 win, and I'm going to go for Maguire to actually score a goal, hopefully at the right end. I'm going Fernandes to score a penalty, first time this season. I think if he gets one, and I'm going for put a little bit of faith in him. I'm going to put Sancho to get either his first goal or assist this weekend. Put a bit of faith in him.
I like that. Matt, I actually can pull off a skirt and a blazer. I can't speak for these two, but I can
pull off a blazer and I can prove it. But I'm not going to attempt skirt because one, I only wear them at weddings if I have to wear a kilt, and I've only worn a kilt once in my life, and I'm not going to wear one if I ever get married. I'll be wearing a suit. But yeah, I know I'm breaking tradition. But you've got to stick to what you like. I can pull off a blazer.
This is a disgrace.
I hate haggis. I don't mind kilts, but I'm just not going to wear one. I can pull off a blazer because there's one right in there. I can pull it off. I am not pulling off a skirt look. Not happening.
Well, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, as you said, Matt, he is a handsome bastard. So there we go. Vaughan says, I think we get a 3-1 win. Late rally from Ronaldo and Sancho. Matt says, last time I was on the show, I got the prediction correct. United to win 3-0, Ronaldo twice, and Donny to blow the roof off the stadium. Mm-hmm. Fingers crossed. Greg, the ever-optimistic other Scottish man, is dreading it as an understatement. To be fair, this international break has been it's been boring because I love to see United play and I love them so much, but it's been nice not to stress for the weekend. Although my basketball team haven't been doing great either, so that's just more disappointment upon more disappointment. So I'm used to it by now. It's absolutely fine. Vaughan says, I can't see a clean sheet, to be honest. Me neither. Without Varane, it's not happening. Even though I love Victor Lindelof, but unfortunately he's got an incompetent defender next to him, so he can't help it. I'm joking, by the way, before everyone doesn't get my sarcasm, get dragged for that. By the way, DCL would be an ideal signing for United. I have said this for years. I mean, two years ago, when I first started doing YouTube, I first said that I'd love Calvert-Lewin at United. I think his work rate is amazing. He's really worked on himself, and nice. There we go.
Unbelievable.
But yeah, I've said this for a while now. I think DCL would be a great signing for United in the future.
Slim Shady, eat your heart out, my goodness.
Greg, finally being positive. I think I'm finally wearing off on him and say 2-1, which is great. I agree with that. Yeah. Yeah.
I personally think this is a game that if United get the first goal, I think they win the game. It really is as simple as that.
Yeah.
United always mostly concede the first goal. And when they concede the first goal, that's where I have huge, huge question marks. Because yes, United have shown powers of recovery in the past. You can only do that for so long. I mean, we all have to look recently at that Atalanta game, 2-0 down and coming back to win 3-2 with that bit of brilliance. You're not going to get away with that against better quality opposition, like we saw, obviously, with Liverpool and Man City. I think United shade this game. Phil mentioned 2-1 earlier on. That's the prediction I have in my head all week. And I'm going to go 2-1 Manchester United. I think Ismaila Sarr scores for Watford this weekend. He's in my fantasy team. I think Sarr's been one of Watford's best players this season. But I think United are going to win it with a bit of Ronaldo masterclass again. I'm going for a Ronaldo double.
Fingers crossed. We've got one here that says, 4-1. That's optimistic. I like it.
Very nice.
I'm going to go one less. I'm just going to go 3-1.
I think United are going to win from a goal down, by the way, when I said 2-1. I think Watford will score first.
Jesus Christ.
Better crack open the vodka then.
I'm being compared to... I'm literally looking at the live chat. Jesus.
He's going for manager. Who kidnapped Greg? He's being positive.
There's spinning records than being the manager with that suit, man.
all I'm going to say is, if I was the United manager, I'm rolling up in a suit and I'll be doing it right.
So would I. I'm going to leave it there, guys. Thanks for the chat this evening. It's been great to get back onto YouTube. I've not been on here for a while because I've been busy with wedding planning and all that good stuff.
How's it going?
Stressful. Very, very stressful. But all good. All good.
Remember, in between, there's always good planning, but there's always good Far Cry.
Exactly. I completely agree. And Forza as well, which is what I'm obsessed with at the minute.
Yes, I need to get the new one just so I can whip you on the track. But hey, that's
you won't. But it's okay.
You want a bet?
Keane says, "Where's the Cavani table for the wedding?" It'll be there. Maybe. We'll see. Are we all invited to the wedding? Maybe.
200 quid entry fee for those who doesn't know.
I'm just inviting everyone now. It's fine. Yeah, I'm going to leave it there, guys. I appreciate you guys coming on and spending your, is it Thursday? Yep, Thursday evening with me, chatting about United. I'll leave it there. Rach, do you want to shout out your Twitter and anything you've got going on?
Thank you for having me on, obviously. It's good to see you. You're looking well, of course. Just have to point out, obviously, friend to friend. Obviously, got to point. You're looking well. Lindelof, if you do not perform this weekend, she'll come after you. But yeah, you.
I actually do. I know where he lives.
That's the scary part. So you can find me there underneath. Follow the pen, right there at Devil's Rising on Twitter. You can find me here, obviously, the Weekly Armchair. Obviously, hosting couple of podcasts, the Weekly Steel Chair, which started on Tuesday. Obviously, Vicky, Witterbird, in the live chat joined me on Tuesday. It was a great show. Devil's Advocate, I roll around with that with Keane. Find me on Mondays, 7 o'clock on the Dugout Football channel for talking about the football podcast, which I do every Friday evening. Jesus Christ. Every Monday night, sorry. And anywhere else, really. But most of all, you can find me on here. It's where you can find me the most. Causing carnage. And who knew it? I can do it in a suit.
That's just it, isn't it? Grant, where can the people find you?
You can find all my witterings, musings, and garble at Stato_Grant on Twitter, StatoG91 on Instagram. I've got a couple of podcasts out on my station, Campbell's Footballs, which you can find every Friday. A lot of Northern Irish football chat, a lot of Scottish football chat as well. The show is moving to a Tuesday and Friday session from now till Christmas, so do keep a watching brief for that. And you can also give me a chat about anything regarding United or just any general football chat.
Nice, good. And as this comment says from Greg, myself, Greg, and Tim, Niagara Red will be hosting our basketball podcast tomorrow called the Dimes and Buckets podcast, talking all things NBA, talking my boys, the Raptors, Greg's Clippers, just everything that's been going on in the NBA. It's been a wild season so far. You know, things are hotting up, so we're going to break down and talk about it tomorrow. That's tomorrow at 6 p.m. UK time. For our American friends, I think, don't get me wrong, I think it's 1 p.m. in North America. But yeah, we will be chatting and breaking down all things NBA. You can catch that here on the Weekly Armchair Sports Talk. It's called the Dimes and Buckets podcast. And that's at 6 p.m. Raptors for life. And Matt seems to have forgotten that Everton are playing City this weekend. So good luck. I hope you win.
It's on Sky as well. So I think it's one of those games on Sky on
Sunday, isn't it? I think.
It is, yep, it is.
Well, good luck. I hope you smash them because we hate them from Down Road. Hate them. doing my head in.
Oh, we
Anyway.
love it if we beat them.
And also before we go as well, guys, you can also find the Weekly Armchair streaming on Twitch as well. We are now on Twitch as well. We do have our own Twitch gaming channel, which I'll be overhead. We will be starting that very shortly. We're all going to be involved on that, and there will be more to come from Weekly Armchair as well. Like, that's one thing we all do is like to include all sports. Like, we're all inclusive on that. So, and it's unlike the Ollie vibes, these are consistently good vibes. So you'll get that from the Weekly Armchair Sports Talk, regardless of who's on.
Sounds good. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it there. Have a good evening, everyone, and let's go United. Peace out.
Cheers.
What the fucking